Welcome to Splatterhouse 2, the beloved sequel to Splatterhouse, One Paku Graffiti. This being the third game in the Splatterhouse series. But that's all a tangled mess that we don't really have to unravel in this video. The localization of this game sort of made it into a standalone story. Sort of. All we need to know is what we just saw. Jennifer is dead. And Rick needs to go get the terror mask so as to save her. As the voice in his head implies is a possibility. Just gotta go back to the Splatterhouse, even though it was burned down at the end of the first game. They did not have sequel potential in mind when they made that first game, apparently. They're probably trying to just burn it all to the ground because that game was so offensive and disturbing. But it was the age of offensive and disturbing games selling like hotcakes. So, accidentally, sequels were inevitable. I played through the entire series before, and if you want to feel old, the last time I uploaded a Splatterhouse 2 video was nearly 8 years ago, in March of 2014. If you really want to feel old, the game itself came out in 1992, so it's coming up on its 30th anniversary, making this the perfect time to revisit it. Logically, I would have started with Splatterhouse 1, but this is a standalone thing, and it's 2-month, so we will start with sequels, because I'm only playing games with 2 in the title. Obviously, this game will have tremendous amounts of gore. Despite being a Genesis game, it really gets disgustingly violent, but that's why you're here. That's not really a warning, that's an appetizer. What you do need to be warned about is numerous instances of photosensitivity danger. Flashing lights and really hard to look at screen effects. I will shout those out as they come up, so you don't have to worry about them too much. And they are infrequent. You'll only miss about 2 minutes of the entire game as I point them out. So, we can get right into it and begin to enjoy Splatterhouse 2. Begins like all the best adventures do, with our hero passed out on the lawn in front of the house. He has reclaimed the terror mask, and I guess it gives him superpowers. They're never really clear on what the terror mask does, besides manipulate Rick into doing stuff that he may or may not want to do. Obviously, he's a ridiculously buff gentleman, but it doesn't explicitly say that it makes him like that. Certainly doesn't make him bald. That's just a Jason Voorhees reference, as is the tattered bodysuit he's wearing. Yeah, this game really should not have gotten away with the copyright infringement. It is flagrant. But they did. And that's the end of that little section. Our introduction, splattering zombies. We come upon a brick structure of some nature, filled with guts. And even greater horrors than the zombies we've been crushing. But we are an even greater horror than whatever's behind that door. Even upon seeing it, I don't know what the hell it is. Not to worry, just pin it up against the wall, hammer the attack button, and it's done for. Completely cheese the boss. You don't even have to see its attack pattern or anything. Just take 1 damage boost and fire away. And I believe the challenge of that fight is to do it damageless. There's no good reason to do that, but if you're playing on the highest difficulty, I believe you're capped at 1 heart. So you do have to do it damageless. Hence why I am not playing on the highest difficulty. You can make no mistakes. But the game is sort of predicated upon being able to complete it damageless. This is a weird game to discuss in terms of difficulty, because you can't really call it hard. It's all a matter of memorization. You just need to know what's going to happen, and then prepare yourself to react accordingly. Although if you're relying on reactions, you're already done for. You have to know what's coming and what to do about it in advance, or you're gonna die. The execution is not trivial by any means, but it really just comes down to positioning and timing. Love these sprites here. Corpses crushed into the spikes. So many great, disgusting sprites throughout this game. It really is a masterwork of pixel art. In its morbidity. With this, we can crush our enemies. Spikes only have active hitboxes for a couple of seconds there. Real close call, I almost got touched by the ooze. We're coming up on our first big photosensitivity warning. After we introduce ourselves to the boss and I take an intentional death. Gonna take the cowardly way out. Not just yet. After the death, we will have to worry about photosensitivity. But every time I punch the boss, we will have a whole lot of screen flashing to worry about. So, at this point, you should probably look away while I make a mess of this thing. First, we got to destroy the little faces. Jump over the vomit face, then kick it in the eyes. And repeat. Very simple. Our first audio glitch, unfortunately. Probably an emulation error in this version of the game. But they are very infrequent. And there we go, boss is done. Eyes are exploding. We can all look back. Even the boss himself couldn't handle the screen flashing. It caused his eyes to be ruined forever, allowing us to progress. Onto a bit of a non sequitur, where we just walk up a stream. Fighting a bunch more of these things, as they are devoured by fish. Probably should have done the slide there. The slide is super difficult to execute on an analog stick. I did all my practice for this run on a Xbox 360 controller, because this is the Xbox 360 version that I'm playing through right now. But that's the worst way to play this game, is on a 360 controller. Right now, I am playing on a PS2 controller, which is being translated to Xbox 360 inputs. Only got one heart left, but that might be enough to deal with this next boss. When I originally played this game for the LP, I used a arcade stick, which I could do again, but I'm not. Now we just gotta fight these gardening implements. Punch a chainsaw right in the blade. Why not? And then fight these hanging, vomiting baby corpses. Gross. Swung that the wrong way somehow. Would've got through that damage list, because the rest of this is very heavily scripted. This part here is a bit difficult. Fighting the gardening shears. You do want to grab them and then throw them away. Because if you don't do that, and the gardening shears stay on the ground, the chainsaw despawns after you've beat it. And then this part takes twice as long. So the gardening shears are just a trap. You want to throw them away. They're garbage, so toss them. And yeah, if you don't have this chainsaw, the enemies do take 4 hits instead of 2. This one only takes 1, and then they throw 2 babies in the middle to try and throw off the pattern. And this is a pathetic chainsaw, by the way. Rick swings it like a 2x4. Sound is just a little buzz. Anyway, we're coming up on another gigantic photosensitivity warning. A face is going to pop out of the background. And when I kill it, huge amount of screen flashing, so watch out now. And it's already over. You do have to hit it twice, but only the first hit causes the horrible screen flashing. Don't even know why they bothered. Probably should not have. Get a nice blood wipe on the screen. You don't get enough of those in video games, that's for sure. And on to more aquatic-themed levels. We still are not to the Splatterhouse of Splatterhouse 2. I would say the sound design of this game is where it falls the most flat. Because the visual design is fantastic. It would have to be, since it's the only selling point of the game. But it is, so full points there. The sound design overall is very bad. Really dulls the impact of the gory explosions. Which are still great, despite all that. But they could be better. The music is fine. Some of it's really, really good. Most of it is just generic. Oh, I killed that ghost. I didn't even realize you could do that. I've never tried punching them enough times. So now I'm possessed, and there's nothing I can do about it. There's too many damn ghosts. It reverses my controls, but multiple ghosts just keep you with reverse controls. So at this point I want to stay possessed so that I could just hold left and continue walking right. Oh, that slowdown, I love it so much. Single frames as we escape the ghoul. Beautiful. On to the living yogurt. An actually somewhat difficult boss. Especially if you try to do the fast method of kicking it while it is sliding past you. I'm trying to do it, but it is very precise. You need to land in a kick as the enemy is going right past you and not get hit by the enemy. There it is. But you can chain that over and over. Get this boss fight over with real quick. Okay, that's down, but here's the hard part. The flesh spider. Which is super fast. Yeah. You need to be quick because doing a down attack actually takes a couple extra frames compared to just a standing attack. So you need to be fully prepared for your opportunities to strike the spider. Unlike the yogurt monster itself. If you hesitate, the spider's gonna get you. And if you are unprepared, you're at least gonna miss your opportunity to deal damage. I prefer to take no damage against the sliding thing here. Just because this part is very heavily scripted. And the spider is much more erratic. Hard to predict. Look at how fast this thing is. Okay, so far so good. Oh, I punched it out of midair. I don't do that too often. Good thing I did, though, or it would have killed me. That's the first half of the game over. That was like the mid-boss of the game. Biggie Man of this game. Which gets us to the actual Splatterhouse. We are there. We made it. Stage 5 is as good a place as any to start the actual game. Fighting more of these things. And of course, severed hands. Another life. Probably gonna need that. I'm weirdly bad at this section. Weird because it's not difficult. But I make it more difficult than it ought to be. Like, especially with a shotgun, it's trivial. But I'm probably gonna get hit. At least once more. I certainly hope not. Taking it super extra absurdly cautious. We made it, with one heart left. Luckily this next section is very easy, except for one part, where these severed hands with well-manicured nails start to overwhelm you. There it is. The one part where there's 3 at once, and one of them jumps. Oh, that's the easy part though. If you play overly cautious, you will throw off your timing, and this game is all timing. So, enemy positions change, you will not know what to expect, and you will probably take damage. Aggression is a pretty good defensive tool. Preparedness and advanced knowledge, and just going for it. Holding right as much as possible. On to the Experimentation Room. Bunch of test tubes with monsters inside that now take 3 hits. This is one of the few places where the slide is the perfect tool, but I missed my slide input. The slide is also the only hard thing to do in this game. That one we don't even have to worry about. And this next duo, as long as you're aggressive, you once again don't have to worry about one of them. These plucked chickens are pretty easy to deal with. Onto a section that is my Achilles heel. For me, this is one of the hardest sections of the entire game, maybe the hardest section. For no good reason. It's not especially difficult. But the exact patterns that you have to pull off with the controls, I've just always been really bad at it. Now I have to do the rest dead. I was gonna say damageless, but no. And unfortunately, we might get a game over here. Our first of the run. Really gotta go for that damageless run. Ugh. See, they're very unpredictable. Some of them will move super slowly and just ooze along. Others will charge headlong right for you. There's no way to know in advance. It's all memorization, this one. Okay, we're out of there at least. We have 2 hits to deal with. The boss. A creepy scientist. No surprise after what we've seen. Although the sewers were kinda pointless. Use slow down to our advantage. Return fire with some bombs of our own. This guy's gonna puke at us. Patience might actually pay off this time, as bombs rain down on us, right? There they are. Here's another. Just slow and steady. We got this. There we go, we caught up to him. What do you think? Oh, he's trying to punch me? No thanks. That was probably Dr. Mueller, according to the game manual. The American game manual, I should clarify. Oh, this next section, photosensitivity warning at the beginning and the end. So watch out, I'll tell you when the first one ends. As we enter this Mayan temple, or maybe Aztec, I forget. We'll see in the game manual. Portal opens. The first photosensitivity warning is over. The last one, well, the next one, will be in a short while after we do a little boss fight. But for now, we get to reintroduce ourselves to Jenny. Her soul. As it gets dragged to hell. We just did the Evil Dead reference. Now we're doing the Drag Me to Hell reference for a full Sam Raimi filmography. Where's Spider-Man when you need him? This part is very, very easy. And I still screwed it up. Not a good sign. So yeah, Dr. Mueller is the American version of that scientist we just saw. It might be Henry West in the Japanese version, or it might not. Now we gotta fight the snake. When I one-hit kill this thing, there'll be another flashing lights thing, but it killed me instead. Gave me my first game over. Unfortunately, that means I have to re-watch the opening cutscene. And then there will be more flashing lights. My sincere apologies. I wish I'd played 5% better. Here's the flashing lights. You know, I never noticed that little voice clip as the portal is opening. I don't know what it said. Probably some Lovecraftian words. Just like our password, you may have noticed. We'll probably get another game over and see more passwords, unfortunately. I've done a lot of practice to get back into this. Unfortunately, we could not see my first revisit of Splatterhouse 2 because it is all memorization. But it's never enough practice. Not until you get to the point that you can do full damageless strategies every time on every section of the entire game. Then you become the game master. I'm not there yet. And I probably never will be. Got the zigzag heads, then the baseball heads. Ah, that one dips just low enough. Now we have 2 hearts to fight the snake at least. Which is super easy. And I'm still screwing it up. Okay, flashing lights coming up. There we go. Just one flashing light, and then it's all over. I've always gotten that buzzing sound glitch after the escape of Legion into this world. Oh, ultimate photosensitivity warning right now. Watch out, look away. I wish I could look away, because this is horrible. I hate this section of the game. Why would they do this? The only challenge in this room is the fact that the background itself is blinding you. And it is an effective challenge. It's looking like it's gonna kill me. Yep. It's actually hard to tell, like, where the enemies are at any given time, because just so disorienting. Horrible. that they would do this to me. And it's gonna last even longer now, because I took that death. Ugh. But this is the only section of the game that I truly hate. So, overall, this is an excellent game. If only, like, you know, a minute or so of the game is this bad. It is a complete auto-scroll, you can't speed it up. You just gotta punch all the heads. Can't make them arrive any faster. That's the hard part. And then the heads along the floor are also moderately difficult. You're supposed to jump over one of them, go to the other side, then attack them from safety on the other side. By the way, that section is over, so photosensitivity warning temporarily off. You're good to watch this fight that I have to start from scratch. And this one just makes it very explicit about how much of this game is about positioning. So we hide from lightning pillars, place ourselves just outside of the orb range. Damn. You want to destroy all but one orb, because once you destroy them all, the boss respawns the orbs. There we go. Jenny's free. We saved her. Game over. We win. No. Satan says otherwise. The Dark One, as the next game would call him. The Dark One provides no challenge whatsoever. This is like a Orpheus and Eurydice situation, but laughably easy. Despite the 2 deaths I've now taken. This thing's going to town with the lightning orbs. Oh my god. I'm just gonna take another death. That was weird. This section might actually be slightly random. More so than any other section I can think of. The orbs do kind of do what they want. And they're faster than you. So you can't react to them in their randomness. I think this will be the last one. Yeah, there we go. Jenny's free again. We'll just go right to the side of the screen that we need to go to. And once we touch it, we stick there. So I'm just holding right at the moment. Not moving, no animation whatsoever. Satan has no chance of me just sliding away from him. There are, I think, 2 orbs that go all the way to the edge of the screen where I am. There we go. We're free. And so too is Jenny. We went to the underworld, and we rescued her, as we intended to do. But the house is collapsing. These things are poorly built. But, for the record, 1 stage occurs in the Splatterhouse. After that stage, it's all, external stuff. We go to hell. We go, just to hell. And then we go through the front lawn again. This elevator is part of the Splatterhouse, I suppose. Look at the detail on these ghouls. Like, their eyes are popped and leaking out of their head. This section we just have to stand in the middle. There are 2 blocks that fall down in the middle. And once those 2 blocks are dealt with, you can just stand there. It's the one safe spot. Probably should just take an intentional game over at this point. But if we can beat this boss, we will get 2 extra lives. So it's worth a shot. There may or may not be randomness to this as well. I've already missed some shots. This is one of the few things with difficult execution. You gotta time jumps very precisely in order to dodge, and your throws are reliant on when you jump. The Kraken boss fight is pretty tough. So our password is Ek Vi Ial Uldol. And we return to stage 7. Right where we left off. Up. Predicted the middle block too soon. And the blocks will slowly close in on us. One more middle block. Now it's a safe spot. If you have an analog stick that you're playing with, it is kind of difficult to stay in this one spot. But with a D-pad, super easy. You just tap the direction you need to turn, and you're there, ready to defend yourself. It's a good thing Jenny is immune to falling blocks, because she is probably not nearly as hardy as us. And also that the ghouls don't want to tear her throat out. But we've rescued her again. Onto the boat. Save Jenny in our special place, the Overlook Hotel. Now we're in our paddle boat getting out of there. It's the ritual ending from Silent Hill 2. And we're gonna see it a bunch, unfortunately. First time I did this fight, I literally could not figure out how to damage the boss. Because if you throw the spikes back at him while standing, they will go over his eyeball. Or below his eyeball. You have to be jumping, but on the lower part of your jump. Also, the eye closes periodically. You need to keep dodging. So far, so good. There we go. And we got our lives back. Like I said, 2 of them. The boss is worth that many points that we immediately get 2 extra lives. And we're free! We resurrected Jenny. But darkness falls. And the glob of flesh we freed is back for some revenge. I don't know why we freed it. It should owe us a debt. This phase is super easy. Kill 2 heads, punch it. Kill 1 head, go over and punch it. Super easy. Literally no way to screw it up. Oi. Oi. There's a very slight delay on attacks in this game. The first game they were instantaneous. Oh my god. Taking an intentional death. Screw this. Okay. I can survive 1 hit. As a treat. Forgot about the second head, even though I fully explained this strategy already. Okay, in this part, we need to get in position quickly. I did not get there quickly enough. So now I need to remember what phase ends this part of the fight. Back to the wolves. There we go. Get in position. There we go. We are ready. And I forgot about that, but we're good. Get the meatball out of there. We normally don't see the meatball shot. If you see the meatball shot, you've screwed up. This part is all timing. This should not work, obviously. Legion lands right on top of your head. But you still do damage to him. And that's all that matters. There we go. Then he becomes a horrifying bat that is very, very fast. Yeah. I turned around, I was ready for him, but he's that fast. So it's come down to the wire. Last life. I'm making this dramatic. So far so good, so far so bad. Horrible. We're done for. Ah well. Gonna put those unlimited continues to the test. At least you don't have to move during this phase. Should have had that. Oh well. Back to the elevator. Bit of an ignominious conclusion to this playthrough. Not even that difficult. Although my first playthrough, I could not have dreamed of beating that final boss. It actually is the hardest part of the entire game. But once you know what to do, as usual, it becomes very, very repeatable. I do have to wonder if the strategy where you stand all the way at the left side of the screen and just periodically throw a punch was intended to work on the second final phase before the bat. Seems like it should not, but no other strategy is viable with how slow Rick moves. Okay, I actually can't get that harpoon. Closed his eye just in time. Got him again. One more should do it, I think. There we go. 3 hearts, 4 lives, can't lose. That's the kind of confidence you need going into the final boss of Splatterhouse 2. It returns. Jennifer comes to us for safety, and then is scared away by a glob of flesh. Admittedly, it's pretty damn scary. Ugh. The timing on that is pretty precise, because it probably is not intentional. Alright, ready for a rematch. I like these odds. These odds being the same as all the other odds. But it's good to have confidence. It's the end of that phase. Nice. The timing on that has tripped me up many, many times. Surprisingly difficult. Much easier with the bounce first. Do that one more time. Ah, I missed it. And then one more shot with the bounce. Boom. Onto the bat. Okay. No, he's getting away. Got him, just in the nick of time. He's dead. Turned to stone and crushed. Glorious. I had my struggles there with the final boss. Oh, definitely some mild flashing warnings here. That persists for a little while to simulate lightning. As the house tumbles into the water, we were in the middle of a lake this whole time. Very Castlevania ending. The storm has cleared up, so we don't have to worry about flashing lights anymore for the entire rest of this run. The horror is over. But as long as that mask remains, it can happen again. I hope it does. I love the Splatterhouse series. Bring it back. That 2010 game murdered the series solely on reputation. The quality of the game did not come into play, unfortunately. There was an effort to restore it, but that was a single amateur developer who had taken on that task, and they seem to have given up on it years ago. Predictably. Too bad. We get unmasked Rick having a slow dance with Jenny after discarding the mask once again. And we get to see who made the game. Their pseudonyms, at least. There's Ken Lobb, partially responsible for localizing the game such that the storyline has different implications than that of the Japanese game. But ultimately the same storyline. Producer Papaya Paya Paya. $100 Taro. Thank you very much for making Splatterhouse 2. Beautiful game. In its disgusting way. Has its flaws, but I love me some Genesis games, and this is quintessential Genesis. Nintendo would not carry a game like this, not in the day when they were censoring Mortal Kombat. And I'm super glad Nintendo went there. Genesis went there. Nintendo did not. Oh no, the evil one, escaping. True nightmares. A well-earned congratulations. For me, at least. Now, to celebrate our successful run, let us put on some music. That's a little up-tempo. Yeah, that's got a nice mood to it. We will close things out by going through something that I severely neglected in my original Let's Play, the game manual. The US manual has a cover that is very video gamey. Shows a bunch of the video game enemies with adorable cartoon eyes. It looks a lot cuter than the game itself ended up being, but I do love it. In the table of contents, we can see that just the info dump section of the game that tells you how to play it is called Dastardly Data and Monstrous Moves. Somewhat overselling what they're going to give us. But there's also a prologue and an introduction. Quite a bit of text leading up to your Splatterhouse experience. The prologue reads, excerpted from the Journal of Paranormal Phenomena, August 1989. In the thick jungles of Cancun, I discovered the site of an ancient Mayan temple. Most unusual was the discovery of a mask quite unlike anything that has been found before. Carved from a bone-like material, it seems to be a representation of a deity. This mask was attached to the wearer's head with interesting straps that were fashioned to look like skeletal hands. Ruins found in the area refer to this relic as the Terror Head, Or perhaps a better translation would be the Terror Mask. This is a breakthrough discovery. Excerpted from a letter of Dr. Mueller to a friend. Dear Klaus, the mask is incredible. You mentioned reading my piece in the Journal of Paranormal Phenomena. However, I couldn't mention in the article the aura of power surrounding this thing. You pick it up and shiver. A primal wave rushes up your spine. When you visit, we'll have to go over it. The lake is lovely this fall, and the fish are biting. See ya. Very casual, that Dr. Mueller. We saw he was later transformed into a monstrosity, or such is the implication of the boss fight, where we fight that scientist guy. The mask itself has a very silly design, meant to differentiate it from a hockey mask, although the in-game model looks very, very much like a hockey mask. No angry eyebrows or gritted teeth to be seen. On to the introduction. You've come to dread the night. In the clutches of sleep, the nightmares begin. Always the same. Jennifer screaming in the dark until suddenly she stops. Silence. Then the infernal whisperings of the mask begin again. Rick, we can save her. You know we can. Remember the power? Remember how much you liked it? The house, Rick. Jennifer's waiting, and I'm waiting for you. Awake in a sweat with your heart racing, you can almost remember the last time. Locked into the mask, body surging with feral rage and an insatiable hunger. The cold steel pipe in your hands slick with gore. Under the mask, you were smiling. You know you have to go to save Jennifer, or so you say. Rick craves the thrill of death once again. This passage is clearly what the 2010 remake was inspired by, almost in its entirety. Very interesting. I hadn't realized how much the 2010 remake was basically a remake of Splatterhouse 2 and 3. Very little of the original game. That's why this history lesson is so important. Now we come to handy household weapons. From the Journal of Dr. Mueller. I have begun to notice strange things in the woods. I have become uneasy. Today I cataloged all the potential weapons in the house. Not very impressive, I'm afraid. At times like this, I wish I had shown a keener interest in hunting. He's got a pipe, left over from remodeling. It could make a handy bludgeon. Rick certainly thinks so. He's got a bone, a gift from a paleontologist friend. The fossilized leg bone is a hard hitter. It certainly is. One hit kills everything we hit it with. Chainsaw, I suppose this can cut more than firewood. Barely. That thing needs a tune-up. It is unimpressive in practice. He had a shotgun. I managed to find 8 shells. I hope that will be enough. And finally, the potassium bomb. I have a small quantity of potassium placed in glass vials. When broken, they will explode and burn. That's what we were using when we fought the man himself. Presumably, I'm still just guessing at his identity. Now we've got Dr. Mueller's Guide to Beasts. From the Journal of Dr. Mueller. I had mentioned in earlier entries of seeing strange things in the woods. These things are monsters. I can't believe my luck. This is a tremendous chance to capture and study these creatures. I have made notes based on the observations. I don't understand how the mask fits into all this, but I'm sure there is a connection. So you can see, this also inspired the journal feature from Splatterhouse 2010. Another reference that I never knew existed. Mueller only managed to log the zombie. These shambling creatures literally drool rotting flesh. Indeed, they are as pleasant to smell as they are to see. And the Screaming Mimi, as they are officially called, named by Dr. Mueller. He must have been losing his mind by this point. Fascinating creature. There seems to be several types leaping about the woods. They all emit a piercing scream. Jack and I have set several traps to attempt to capture one for closer study. So maybe the guy we punched in the face was Jack. And Dr. Mueller persists. No way to tell. And finally, the ghoul. I saw one of these creatures in the old sewer. It appeared to be related to the zombie creature, but without the red ooze. Yet it retained the pleasant feature of drooling ropes of rotting flesh. And that unfortunately is all Dr. Mueller had to say to us. But there is another manual for Splatterhouse 2. The Japanese manual, where they have a bunch of text, which I can never hope to read, but the Japanese cover certainly is excellent. It looks like the cover of a classic horror movie, which is perfect for Splatterhouse. Splatterhouse 2 in particular, you just sit down, play through it beginning to end, like you're rewatching a beloved horror movie. Captures that experience in video game form. You really could not ask for more from a Splatterhouse game. It's glorious. And glorious to behold. Rick's there posing very imposingly. You can see his mask is redesigned. It does not have a mouth, and it has little markings around the edges near the eye holes. It's a little fancier for a more elegant, refined Rick. And behind him are the first two bosses of the game, screaming. And in the distant background, Jenny, behind the house itself. Then you open the manual, and you are greeted by another gigantic mural, with much less visual fidelity, but it still looks good. It's got Rick ready to kill some zombies. And further in, we see just a 2-page spread of the zombies themselves, along with what I presume is an introduction to the game's plot. Maybe an explanation of what happened in the first game as well. I certainly don't know, and it doesn't particularly matter because the implication here from the artwork is that the zombies and boar worms are in the remains of the house from the first game. That's the continuity that they are showing off with the artwork, which remains canon in the second game, even in the American version. The first level is supposed to be the remains of the first game, and the zombies and boar worms are supposed to be leftover enemies who are just wandering the grounds after we burn down the house. Thus, when Rick is waking up in the very beginning of this game, it's immediately after he has found the house and presumably gone through some form of transformation, which temporarily knocked him off his feet. Then he hops back up, ready to clean up the mess that he left behind after the first game, and get into a whole new mess. Burn down another mansion, Castlevania style. So, onto the next set of pages is all Japanese text telling you how to play the game and navigate the menus, but in the corner is a unique piece of artwork which depicts Rick's internal struggle with his guilt over Jenny's death. He can see her in a flesh hell, where she ultimately is discovered later in the game, and the mask pulling him towards its own whims. So everything we just read in the American manual was definitely implied here in the Japanese manual as well. And an interesting part of this artwork is we can see an unmasked Rick, which you rarely get to see. Only ever in silhouette, and usually only from like the back or the side. This is a pretty clean shot of Rick, without the terror mask. And he's already very ripped. He really doesn't need to go through much of a transformation. Implying that maybe the mask just doesn't do anything besides drive Rick into a blood frenzy. Next set of pages also have a huge mural, which basically just is the same one as the one near the prologue, where we can see zombies and boar worms in the remains of the previous house. Next set of pages has some more unique images of Rick kicking monsters, slide through the sludge monster as well. And we're also getting into game screenshots. And if we were to look very closely at the game screenshots, we would see, in the Japanese version of this game, the terror mask has been redesigned again, such that it matches the game cover. It has no mouth, and it has black wavy curves near the sides. It's a bit of a Rorschach mask, but very imposing, like eye makeup style mask. So there are like 6 different versions of the terror mask in the original series. It's pretty impressive how many times they've redesigned it visually to try and avoid getting sued by whoever owns Friday the 13th after the first game was so flagrant in its theft. So it goes through all the weapons in the game, gives them all detailed descriptions, including the harpoon and the severed head. The severed head is in the underground area where we got possessed by ghosts. If you fall down, you instead come to an area where you fight ghouls underground, and you can use their severed head as a weapon. One of the best things about the entire Splatterhouse Classic series, no instant death pits. If you fall in a pit, you go to an alternate version of the level, which required tons of design, I'm sure. Then, next set of pages, we get descriptions of each of the stages in the game, a little preview before you begin the game. That's what all the next 2 pages are, in fact. Then we come to descriptions of every single monster in the game, not just the 3 that the American manual got. We clearly have blurbs about the fish and the ghosts. Plenty of information that we'll simply never get in English. I don't think anyone has bothered to translate this manual into English. We could do like an automated translation, but that would be very unsatisfying, so I'm not even going to bother. And we have little descriptions of every single boss. On the next set of pages, onto the final page, where they show all the way up to the final boss. But they censored him out with blood splatters. You'll have to wait and see what his whole deal is. But we already have. We've seen the entirety of Splatterhouse 2. A true classic. And I thank you for joining me. I've tremendously enjoyed this revisit. Might play through some of the classic Splatterhouses again. I certainly owe Wanpaku Graffiti a revisit. I love that game. And the first game's a masterpiece as well. There's one glaring omission you may notice. Splatterhouse 3. I hope to never play that game again. But thanks for joining me for Splatterhouse 2.